Good afternoon. I'm Mahalia Joseph and C News is live at noon.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed with sports.
The Petroleum Dealers Association has come out in defense of its decision to using electric card payments at the pumps. The decision was made public on Tuesday and is set to take effect this coming Friday. Rishi Harinanan has more.
Come Friday, motorists will have to walk with cash when they go to fill up at petrol stations across the country. That as the petroleum dealers vote to stop electronic card payments at the pump. The decision comes into effect this Friday, and it comes as a result of what the body said are cost-saving measures. Speaking with C News, President of the Petroleum Dealers Association, Rabindranath Narayan Singh, said the measure was taken as a way of not laying off staff in tough economic times and because dealers were paying high fees to banks for their card transactions, which were hurting their margin.
Let us say you come to the gas station and you buy $100 gas. I make $4 when you give me that $100. But if you swipe your card, I have to pay between $1 and $3 to the bank out of that $100. So out of that $4 that I make, I have to pay the fee, depending on the arrangement you may have with the bank.
At a specially convened meeting, a large number of the 150 strong service station owners voted to implement the measure, with the expectation all dealers will start taking cash only in less than 2 days' time.
You see, for your convenience, people don't mind paying for it. I'm sure you don't mind paying that extra dollar to walk around with a credit card. But when you go to the grocery store and you swipe your card, that money is absorbed. The markup on the grocery, they absorb that dollar. I cannot do that in the gas station. You pay for it, you know, but in the gas station you can't because the minister set the price. I cannot pass on that cost to you.
C News Live understands the Banking Association is looking into this latest move with urgency, having only been informed of it on Tuesday, since it will affect many of the banking institutions who collect revenue based on card transactions. Rishi Harinanan, C News.
The former Housing Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal is at this time appearing in court to answer allegations of defamation made against him by CPEP. According to the legal brief, the state-run community-based environmental protection and enhancement program decided to take the action against their former line minister after statements he made alleging what he called serious governance issues at the organizations relating to contractors, workers and use of taxpayers' funds. In a statement on Tuesday, Dr. Munilal accused the company of attempting to muzzle him, describing the legal action against him as historic. The state company is seeking damages for defamation as well as a public apology from its former boss. The Medical Association has described as confusing and embarrassing a false report made by a female intern at the Port of Spain General Hospital when she reported that she was robbed at gunpoint. However, the Ministry of Health later issued a statement saying her claim was false. Today, the association said there are some good things coming out of the entire situation.
The Ministry of Health issued a statement on Tuesday saying the girl admitted making up the story of being robbed late in the night in a hospital corridor by a man with a gun who took cash and a phone from her. However, whilst the ministry has since removed her from duty, senior police officers are considering charges of wasting police time and creating an emergency at a public institution. Speaking on CTV's Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Austin Trinidad, member of the Public Relations team for the Medical Association, said people must understand the times we live in, and security is vital for medical practitioners, especially since a lot of them are females.
We have, again, highlighted the issue of security for healthcare professionals, healthcare workers at all our major institutions. And especially these days when, you know, the crime rate is so high, there are so many criminals walking around, and hospitals seem to be easy targets because there's a large number of young, especially young females, present at all times of day and night, and so they become easy targets.
Mr. Trinidad said it will be a good thing to have increased security officers and more security cameras around. However, he isn't sure there is enough money for the government to put these measures in place.
Maybe there should be some kind of policy that no doctors or nurses should ever go unaccompanied to any area. You know, doctors coming off duty need to have someone escort them to their cars. Nurses going to lonely areas like carrying samples to the laboratories or going to the pharmacy to pick up medications, they should always be accompanied by somebody.
He said the only action medical practitioners can take to highlight their concern is to write to the relevant authorities to talk and provide ideas. Rishi Harinanan, C News.
You're watching the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. Motorists in Claxton Bay were left stranded in floodwaters on Wednesday, but not because of heavy rains. Rather, it was down to a WASA pipeline rupturing. According to a WASA spokesman, the incident began around 4 a.m. on the Southern Main Road, with the water authority sending a crew around 9:30 to deal with the problem. One person told C News Live the water had been leaking since last week, and the minor flood caused traffic disruption in the rush hour. One man is dead and a woman hospitalized after they were shot in Mova. The dead has been identified as 28-year-old Renando Yates. Reports say at about 7:35 last evening, the victims were at 7th Street, Mova, when they were approached by an unknown assailant who opened fire. They were both hit. Yates died on the spot, while the wounded, identified as Denicia Matamoro, was taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where she is said to be in a stable condition. The skeletal remains of a human was discovered in Penal at around 3 p.m. on Tuesday. The remains were taken to the Forensic Science Center to determine the cause of death and identify the sex of the person. Penal police are investigating, and we will have more details as they come to hand. Meanwhile, the body of a woman was discovered at a house in Sumero Street, Malabar, Arima. It is believed to be that of 50-year-old Judy Taylor, and according to a report, the find was made around 9:30 p.m. yesterday by a female relative who contacted the police. The body bore marks of violence. Region 2 Homicide is continuing investigations. And in other news now, it's the last day in the city of San Fernando for collection of products to be donated to Haiti. A few weeks ago, the corporation began collecting items to be sent to Haiti after it was devastated by Hurricane Matthew. San Fernando Mayor Kazem Hussein said this morning, that 10 40-foot containers will leave this country at bid day.
A very successful collection which involved the religious organizations, the NGOs, the schools, the business community, and was an exceptional, resounding success. And people really want to give back, and they don't know how to give back. So we are off today to Point Lisas. The containers, 10 leaving today on the trucks, and 2 tomorrow, which will be 12, and which will include building materials, pharmaceuticals, water, clothes, canned foods.
Mayor Hussein said their liaison with Haiti is Mr. Sadiq Bashk, and he is in constant contact with the senators and others in the devastated island. He will ensure that the needed items reach their destination. And there are rumors circulating that the Prime Minister may be about to make some changes to his cabinet, which could come sooner rather than later. According to recent reports, the PM had indicated adjustments were coming following the PNM's first year in office and after the 2016-2017 budget. The budget was passed in the Senate on Tuesday prior to its passage in the House on the 28th of September. Government officials were unable to indicate when Dr. Rowley would announce the changes to his cabinet. The former Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar reshuffled her cabinet 5 times during the PP's tenure. Sources at the PM's office are reported to have informed the daily newspaper that there is a chance the announcement could be made during one of the weekly cabinet meetings in November. The president-elect of the Tutor organization said amongst his first plans as leader will be to deal with schools' infrastructure problems. Speaking to C News Live, Lindsay Dudai said his first act in office begins next week.
I visited the Princeton East Secondary School, and it really saddens me to know what is happening at that particular school, because it's 5 weeks now that teaching and learning has been disrupted at that particular school, and students are coming to school. They are being sent back home early because of faulty air conditioning in the school, and I am at pains to understand why the Ministry of Education is taking so long in terms of getting something done to the faulty air conditioning system at the school.
Mr. Dudai, who has also been in the teaching service for 30 years, said another issue he would look at is that of teenage pregnancy in schools, and whilst tutor does not have an official position on the matter, it's something the membership would have to address.
I am sure when it's discussed at the appropriate level of the association and the level of the central executive and the general council, that I am confident, yes, that those bodies would go along in terms of the position that I have been advocating, because we are all educators and we would want to look at the ills of our education system and try to alleviate it.
Mr. Dudai also told C News Live in winning the post of president, he broke with tradition and campaigned by himself, visiting some 600 schools.
Well, traditionally, elections in tutor would have been successfully contested by teams. There are 6 offices, 6 positions that are up for election every 3 years. Now, when you're a member of a team, you go around to schools to campaign to ask teachers to vote for you. There are approximately 600 schools. So when you're a member of a team, it's easy to traverse the country and to meet the teachers and campaign. But as an independent, you have to do it alone. So I had to cover 600 schools by myself.
Time now for a look at the weather forecast.
The wet season continues with the passage of a weak tropical wave, although most of the moist, unstable air should be pushed north across St. Vincent, St. Lucia and Dominica. But Trinidad and Tobago will still see a scattering of showers, some of them locally heavy or thundery, with the possibility of gusty winds and street or flash flooding in those downpours. Look for a hot 34 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 31 degrees Celsius in Tobago. For sailors heading out, look for mainly gentle east-southeasterly winds of 5 to 10 knots, with a smooth to slight chop of 1 to 1.5 meters out in the Atlantic, closer to 1 meter through the Caribbean, and near calm in the Gulf of Paria, with east-northeasterly swells of 8 seconds. Tide is low at 6:30 p.m. That is the latest weather, and I am meteorologist Ian Wallace.
And it's time now for me to introduce Nasira. Nasira is here to tell us what's happening in the world of sport. I know we have some good news today.
That's correct. Even though the West Indies senior team lost yesterday, the A team was victorious against Sri Lanka's A. Good news for West Indies cricket fans, as the West Indies A bowlers combined to pick up a 165-run win in the first unofficial ODI against Sri Lanka A in Dambulla, Sri Lanka. The win was set up by their new ball pair of Ransford Beaton and Delon Johnson. After electing to bat first, West Indies A compiled 267 over 2 days as rain intervened to push the match into a reserve day, just 12.5 overs into the innings. The innings was built around 3 important contributions. Opening batsman Kyle Hope top scored with 81. West Indies A captain and TNT's very own Jason Mohammed and Rovman Powell both had half-centuries. Beaton and Johnson took the first 4 wickets within 7 overs of the chase to leave Sri Lanka A reeling at 26 for 4. John Ross Jagisa entered the wicket column when he ended the game with figures of 4 for 29 and runs for Beaton 3 for 26. Sri Lanka were all out for 102, giving West Indies a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Flow has partnered with secondary schools cricket to help with the promotion and development of youth cricket in Trinidad and Tobago. The initiative was launched and the director of Flow's marketing, Cindy Ann Gatt, praised the league for its work in developing cricket and outlined the details of the 3-year partnership.
Programs like these, programs like the Secondary Schools Cricket League, that are the genesis of tomorrow's champions. Programs such as these identify and develop our Laras, our Bravos, and our Gangas of the future. This is why we at Flow have committed $1.2 million to the support and financing of the work of the SECL over the next 3 years.
Sponsorship will include the Girls Form 1 to 3 program, the Girls Hardboard Cricket League, and Boys Under 14 tournament. President of the SSCL, Surajat Mahaber, says hopefully this investment helps the continued development of youth and future cricket stars.
It's priority, and we always tell them that. We also see cricket as a career. And with this funding, we'll be able to take it further to ensure that those who have the ability, that we can identify them and help them to move forward into careers in cricket.
Trinidad and Tobago swimmers were on a record-breaking streak at the Titans Aquatics Invitational swim meet at the Aquatic Center in Barbados. Zarek Wilson of Blue Dolphins was the standout, breaking the 5 meet records and 3 age group records. In the boys 9 to 10 100-meter freestyle, Wilson took goal in 1 minute 2.40 seconds, smashing the old meet record of 1 minute 7.97 seconds. Wilson in 2 minutes 17 seconds and Nikolai Blackman in 2 minutes 19 seconds again went 1-2 in the 200-meter freestyle, both some distance under the old mark of 2 minutes 28.35 seconds. Wilson made another entry into the Barbados record books in the 50-meter breaststroke while eclipsing the old meet record of 36.71 seconds, with Wilson stopping the clock at 33.52 and Blackman at 36 seconds flat. And for all you baseball fans, a superb pitching display from Corey Kluber helped the Cleveland Indians to an emphatic 6-0 win over the Chicago Cubs in the World Series opening game last night. Kluber struck 8 of the first 9 outs registered, and Roberto Perez hit 2 home runs as the Cubs endured a miserable return to the season finale. The Cubs' last World Series win was in 1908, while the Indians clinched their most recent title in 1948. Game 2 of the best-of-7 series is on Wednesday, with the first pitch being brought forward by an hour because of rain threat in the Cleveland area. And that was your sports for today. Regional and international news is up next.
You're looking at the C News Live at noon, and here's a look now at what's happening in the region.
Prince Harry will return next month to Barbados, where he previously charmed locals with his dance moves. On his last official visit to the island in 2010, the prince was keen to embrace local culture and attempted the calypso at a fundraising event. His Caribbean island tour, where he will be representing his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, will include visits to Antigua and Barbuda and St. Lucia. After tensions in Venezuela on Monday that caused the government and opposition to agree to crisis talks, the opposition-led parliament has voted to open a trial against President Nicolas Maduro, accusing him of violating the constitution. The move comes after last week's suspension of a referendum process seeking to remove Mr. Maduro. The government said the vote was meaningless, referring to an earlier court ruling that had declared parliament illegitimate. President Maduro later accused MPs of attempting to stage a coup. He said a meeting of the country's defense council would be held today. Good news for Barbados, as the central bank there says the economy grew by 1.3% during the first 9 months of the year. The bank is also predicting that the island will record economic growth of 1.4% for 2016. It is said that the improved economic situation was due to improvements in the tourism, construction, business and other sectors, where growth was an average of 3%. The central bank said Barbados ranks at number 7 in the Americas in the competitiveness of the tourism sector, with the United States, Canada, Brazil, Mexico, Panama and Costa Rica ahead of the island. Overtaxed. That's how St. Lucia Prime Minister Alan Chastanet is describing this country. At a meeting with the CDB and the ECCB, he noted that St. Lucia is collecting more money as a percentage of the GDP than any other Caribbean nation at around 26%. Other Caribbean islands collect an average of 21 to 22%. He also noted that investment in the public sector in St. Lucia is ranked the lowest in terms of the rate of return. He says this has caused low growth while increasing levels of debt. Mr. Chastanet says his government is now dealing with these and many other issues at the same time. And that's your Caribbean Roundup. You're up to date.
On the international front now, the final stretch of the U.S. elections campaign, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are fighting hard to win voters, especially in battleground states. We take a look at this report from CNN.
It is so great to be back in Florida.
We're going to win the state of Florida.
Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in a relentless fight for the golden prize of Florida's 29 electoral votes. Trump mincing no words on his view of those who choose Clinton.
Tell you what, you vote for her, you're crazy, okay? I'll tell you. She is the worst.
Clinton releasing a new campaign ad, narrated by Morgan Freeman, laying out a stark choice.
A steady hand or a loose cannon?
A new CNN ORC poll shows 7 in 10 Americans now believe Clinton will win the White House. She's dismissing the poll, but for different reasons than Trump.
It's going to be a close election. Pay no attention to the polls. Don't get complacent.
With 13 days to go, Trump trying to turn the tables, seizing on news of skyrocketing health care premiums for Obamacare.
The rates are going through the sky.
Yet Trump's argument that his employees were being crushed by Obamacare quickly fell apart. Most don't get insurance under the Affordable Care Act, a point he struggled to explain.
It's a small group, but it's a group that's having tremendous problems with Obamacare because of what's going on with the premiums and what's going on with the deductibles.
In a Miami radio interview, Clinton said millions of Americans now have health care under the law, but acknowledged major shortcomings that should be fixed, not repealed.
The costs have gone up too much, so we're going to really tackle that.
It's an 11th-hour political headache hitting voters in the pocketbooks. Clinton ignoring health care at her rally, trying to keep the focus squarely on Trump and whether he's fit for office.
Americans are coming together at the very moment when Donald Trump is making an unprecedented attack on our democracy.
Former Republican Secretary of State Colin Powell throwing his support behind Clinton. She tweeted that she's proud to have the endorsement of a decorated soldier and distinguished statesman. All this as Trump and Vice President Biden trade fighting words.
The press always asks me, don't I wish I were debating him? No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym. That's what I wish.
Did you see where Biden wants to take me to the back of the barn? Me. He wants it. I'd love that. I'd love that. Mr. Tough Guy. You know, he's Mr. Tough Guy.
Let's have a look at some other stories making the international news headlines.
Officials in Calais, the migrant camp known as the Jungle has now been completely emptied. Earlier, several fires took hold of parts of the camp. Police said migrants had said they were started by activists. The city's prefect said they were told it was a tradition among the migrants to destroy their homes before leaving. 30 people have been kidnapped and killed by militants linked to the so-called Islamic State in Afghanistan's Ghor province. The spokesman for the governor of Ghor province said the villagers, among them children, were abducted when collecting firewood in the mountains. He said they were taken in a revenge attack after a local IS commander was killed. His policy of trying to persuade North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons is probably a lost cause. Those are the words of the United States National Intelligence Director James Clapper. He's used a speech in New York to say the best the U.S. can hope to achieve is a cap on North Korea's nuclear capability. More than $13 million in damages will be paid to families of children killed in Japan's 2011 devastating tsunami. Relatives of 23 pupils at a school in Ishinomaki sued the city and prefectural governments for failing to evacuate them properly when the risk of an approaching tidal wave was announced.
That brings us to the end of the C News Report at noon. I'm Mahalia Joseph.
And I'm Nasira Mohammed. Conversations with C News comes up next. Have a good afternoon.